Jnanatimrandasya Gnanjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmalatam Yaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Deepa, would you like to say the translation for that?
I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances.
Yes, yes. So let's continue our reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, entitled Dhyana Yoga. Text number 37. 37. So just a recap from last week, that if you want to progress in spiritual life, self-realization, but not prepared to control your mind, good luck. It's a complete waste of time. Don't bother, basically. Krishna's saying. I'm paraphrasing it. But then Krishna's saying on the opposite, that if you do control your mind, then you got a guarantee there. You've got 100% guarantee. Then you're going to become successful. Success is assured, and that's from Krishna's mouth. Krishna finishes off saying, "That is my opinion." And we say, oh, well, it's just another person's opinion. Everyone has their opinion, but no, it's a different kind of opinion. What's the difference between everyone else's opinion and Krishna's opinion?
Krishna's opinion is a promise. Everyone's opinion is an opinion.
Yeah, I mean, his opinion and promise, meaning it's like, it's the truth, it's a fact.
Of course.
It will happen. There's no doubt about it.
No doubt.
Everyone else's opinion, well, it might not work out, you know. It might not turn out to be the truth, to be reality, to be a fact, you know, like that, you know. And of course, 100 people might have 100 different opinions, and there can't be 100 truths, can they? All 100 can't be right. There's only one right answer. So, but Krishna's one's the right one. So it's opinion indicates, like I mentioned last week, very interestingly, I find anyway, that when you say the word opinion, a person has an opinion, doesn't it? Does a rock have an opinion, or a car have an opinion, or a house, or anything like that? No. But a person has. Does the sky have an opinion, or the land, or the sea, or like that? No. But a person has an opinion. So by this also we can understand that God is a person. He's not just an energy. Because many of people, of course, think their idea of God is that he's just not he, but they think God is just some formless, nameless, energy like that. So here we can understand also. I was just thinking about it when it said that is my opinion. That Krishna's a person, and he has his likes and dislikes, and he has a mind. So he has a mind, and he thinks, and he has opinions like we do. Like the opinion is coming from the mind. Opinion is coming from the mind and the intelligence. We are generating opinions because we have a mind and intelligence. So when Krishna is saying he has an opinion about something, means Krishna also has a mind, and he has an intelligence also. And this is what a person has. You know, a person has a form, a body, a person has a mind, a person has an intelligence, like that. So Krishna is also a person. The only difference is he's a supreme person, and he's completely perfect and complete.
Who made the Krishna's mind? Krishna made his own mind.
No, Krishna's ever existing. It's not about in our material mind, we always see everything in terms of it has a beginning, has a creation. But Krishna is existing in an atmosphere beyond creation, beyond beginning and an end. and all these things that we're conditioned to. That's why we're called a conditioned soul. So that's one of the conditions that we are habituated to, is that everything has a beginning and an end, everything has a creation time and everything like that. But Krishna exists beyond time and space, beyond beginning and an end, all this kind of thing. And so do we actually too. We are also eternal. So the soul wasn't made at a particular point either. The soul is always existing. Of course, there was a time that the soul came into the material world. The time we entered the material world, that has a beginning. And there's a time when we're going to leave this material world, go back to the spiritual world. So there is a beginning and an end to when we come here, when we go back. But there's actually no beginning and an end to the soul. And Krishna established that many places, especially in the second chapter, that for the soul, there's no birth or death at any time. The soul has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. You can look at that. It's chapter 2, text 20. Chapter 2, text 20.
20, okay.
So if Krishna is saying about us that we did not come into being like that, we have no birth, no death, then what to speak of him?
Neither born nor death. The soul, there is neither birth nor death or any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever-existing, primordial. He is slain with the body and slain. Okay.
He's not slain. The soul is not slain when the body is slain. 100% guaranteed the body is going to be slain. The body must die.
Yeah.
That's guaranteed. That's guaranteed. One lady, she's a neighbor. She lives down the road from us, and she walks a lot. So at least twice a day she does a big walk, and she often walks past our place. And she's mortally terrified of our dog, Vajra.
Oh, okay.
He's a dog, right? So he barks, and he's got a lot of energy. So one time he broke the clip on his chain, and he jumped on her a little bit when she was walking past, and some other times also, like Giant, he hasn't been able to control him very well, and he like jumps on her a bit. And she's very thin and very frail, and she's got some health problems, and she's very afraid of him pushing her over and falling down. So of course he was never attacking her, but that's his friendliness, that he jumps on someone, jumps up like that. So I mean, when I'm with him, I make sure he doesn't do that and everything, and he listens to me like that. But so anyway, she's very afraid, and she wrote me about a 10-page letter about her.
Oh my God.
About the dog, at least 10 pages, maybe more, because we're planning to go away and do traveling cooking classes for a few months. So she's very afraid of what's going to happen when I'm not around, and the dog, if he breaks loose, she's so worried. And she's saying I have to give 110% guarantee that he's never going to break free, and he's never going to jump on her and everything like that. And she said it over and over again. I have to guarantee 100%, 110%.
It's an animal. How can you guarantee about
that? And I haven't spoken to much about it yet, but I felt like saying the only thing I can guarantee is that the body is definitely going to die, and I can guarantee that the soul will not die. So those two things I can guarantee.
You make her life
in terms of a dog not jumping, and a dog not breaking loose, and a dog not jumping on her, I can't guarantee any of those things. But the only thing we can, like I said, guarantee is that definitely the body's going to die sooner or later, and that but also that the soul will never die. So that would help her a lot if she could just understand that point, that the soul never dies, and that the body has to die. I mean, actually, what you should worry about is those things that you can do something about it. You understand? Don't worry about things you can't do anything about. Like, can you do anything about dying? Your body dying? No, you can't do anything about it. So why worry about it? But can you do something about taking birth again in the material world?
We can
act like
chant,
that.
we can chant, we can do service, and we can try not to, but it's not. But it's not.
That's where you actually have some potential to influence that. You can actually do something about that to change that. It's not automatic that you have the body's going to die and it's going to and the soul's going to take birth in another material body. That is something that doesn't have to happen. It doesn't have to happen. We have some choice. We have some ability to influence that outcome. You don't have any influence over the outcome of the body dying, but you do have an influence over the outcome of the soul coming back into another material body. And that's the whole purpose of this Bhakti Yoga system. And the whole Vedic culture is to try our very best to make sure that when the body dies, we don't take birth again in another material body. That's the whole purpose. That's the whole point. Because we're celebrating Lord Ramachandra's appearance day on Monday. So it's a good time to talk about him. So we will. Ram Navami, yeah. So it's on Monday is the 9th day of the 9th day of the moon. So yeah, so Ekadasi will be after that because that's Navami, so that's the 9th day. So then Dasami and then Ekadasi. So a couple of days after that's Ekadasi. So anyway, next Monday is his celebrating his appearance day. Approximately over 2 million years ago, he appeared in this material world. And he's another form of Krishna. And he appeared especially to teach how to be an ideal king and an ideal husband and everything ideal, an ideal human being like that. And he acted perfectly in different roles like that. And but one thing that happened in that, it's called the Ramayana, which means the wanderings of Rama. So in that, one time, a great sage named Vishwamitra entered into the palace of Lord Ram's father, because Ram's father was the emperor of a big area, and Rama was the next in line to become the next king. So one time this sage went to the palace of the king. Dasharath was the name of his father. He's a very powerful warrior and a great pious king. So he greeted the sage when he saw him coming in, saying, this is just part of what he said, but he said, Purna Janmajaya. Very important, those 3 words, Purna Janmajaya. So the sage, he's like in the position of a brahmana, of like a spiritual teacher. And they're supposed to be very knowledgeable. They're supposed to be self-realized and God-realized. And so his question was directed towards him in that position. So because you address a person according to their particular occupation, he wouldn't have said the same thing to a Kshatriya, to a warrior, or he wouldn't have said the same thing to a Vaishya, like a agricultural producer, or a Sudra, a laborer. So you talk to someone, which is very also interesting to discuss this, that you talk with a person according to their particular mentality that they have, right? Like one time Prabhupada spoke to a racing car driver. Do you know how he started off the conversation? What subject did he talk to a racing car driver about?
Racing
cars, because that's what he's into. So you talk to someone according to their interests, otherwise you lose them. They're not going to feel that you really understand them, or you've lost their interest and like that. So he started off, but then he brought the conversation around to have you ever considered that one day when you're going 200 kilometers an hour on the racing track, you might have an accident and die, and then what? So he brought him around talking about death. Like, then what are you doing to prepare for that? So that was a very interesting thing. So yeah, getting back to this. So what does that mean, Purna Janmajaya? Purna means again, Janma, birth, Jaya means victorious. So he was questioning him. Are you victorious over conquering this cycle of birth and death, again taking another birth? That's real victory, real success in life, is that you don't have to take birth again. We can't stop our death of this body, but we can stop the next birth. That's where we break the cycle. So that's said to be the real success in life, the real victory, the perfection of life, that we get liberated or freed from the cycle of birth and death. And that's where you break the cycle at that point. So very interesting that Dasharath asked that question. And Prabhupada says that's the foundation of the whole Vedic culture, that everyone's trying to progress to the point where they get out of this cycle of birth and death. People are so afraid of COVID. People are so afraid of old age and death and all these kind of things. But you can't avoid any of those things. It's guaranteed those things are going to happen. There's going to be disease, there's going to be old age, there's going to be death, as long as you have a material body. If you really want to, do something to prevent COVID and old age and death, then get out of the material body. But as long as you have a material body, why are we wasting our time, just complaining about those things or trying to avoid those things? It's like a package deal. If you look in the mirror and you see a material body, then that's part of the package deal. That it's in the contract. It's in the fine lines, the fine print. We didn't look at that when we chose to get a material body, but in the fine print is that there's going to be old age, there's going to be disease and death and like that. So that's there. So there's the real thing is to try to stop this cycle of birth and death at the time of death. That if we're Krishna conscious, then we can go back to Godhead and not take birth again in the material world. So what do you reckon?
Very good, wonderful. If it does happen, we'll try not to come back again. We might come back. Depends. It's up to Krishna. Let's leave it up to Jagannath.
Well, that's half of the equation. Half of the equation is up to Krishna and Jagannath, but the other half is Gulshan. Is how strong is Gulshan's desire and all of our desires, how much do we want?
I leave it up to Jagannath, 100%.
Yeah, but
No, don't leave it up to Jagannath. Leave it up to Jagannath 50%. And the other 50% is up to Gulshan.
I'll do 16 round, 4 regulatory principle, rest is
yeah, so that's your half of the bargain, like that.
He's the one giving a brain to learn that, to understand 16 round, 4 regulatory principle. End of the day, that's him. He come through Prabhupada.
Yeah, I wouldn't agree with that completely, because I mean, Krishna's giving every human being a brain, but how come only 0.0001% is, using it? So it's not that, Krishna's giving that kind of intelligence to everyone to have a desire to go back to Godhead. Why not?
Maybe their time is not up. When the time is up to the God.
No. What's the times?
I mean, like look, I didn't
You're
come.
talking about it like it's just chance or something.
Yeah, no, it's like I didn't come.
Prabhupada said there's no such thing as chance. Prabhupada says that anyone says the word chance is a rascal.
Now it's like I didn't come to the Krishna consciousness 48 years of my life. After 48 years, I come. What's like, is that
Okay.
fine?
So Prabhupada says, Prabhupada explained about this word chance. He said, chance means they do not understand the cause, that there is a cause. They do not understand the cause, therefore they use the word chance. But then he said, but there is a cause, but they don't know the cause. He said, everything has a cause.
Yeah.
But when you don't know the cause, you say, oh, by chance. Like
Or
that.
luck.
Yeah. What is
pretty
this?
Pretty much we don't know anything. That's
true.
But actually there is a cause, and and a very important cause is the living entity's desire.
Yeah. The timing.
Actually, in the Bhagavad Gita, it talks about 5 factors of action. These are 5 factors that influence any particular action. It's not one factor, meaning God. I mean, he is the prime factor. No doubt what you're saying, that's true. He is definitely one of the big factors in action. But there are other factors. Let's see if we can find this. I think from memory it's in the 18th chapter. But let's see if we can see factors of action. So I'm going to look in the index. You can have a look too. It's good if you practice learning how to use the book and finding out things. So if you look in the index right at the back, I'm looking up factors of action. If I don't find it there, I'm going to look up 5 factors. Factors. Where's factors?
Knowledge.
Okay, now under factors. Okay, action. I'm going to look under action.
Action.
Look at action, and then within action there'll be heaps of stuff probably. So then look for 5 factors. Action. By action. Okay. Factors that motivate. No, that's that 3 factors. Action. Causes of 5. There you go. Okay, 18. Yeah. Oh, what does it say? No, causes of
13,
action.
18, 16.
Causes of 8:13. Really? 8:13. Okay, let's just check 8:13. I'm going to keep my finger on there.
Listed 8:13, 8:16.
No, that's not it. How's it saying 8:13? It's not. It should be the 18th chapter.
Is it 18, 13?
I was thinking it would be 18. It should be 18th
Did you
chapter.
say 13? In the action, if you go there, ignorance listed 18, 13.
I think it's 18:13. I think they made a mistake there.
Yeah, 18, 13.
Is it 18:13, is it?
Yeah, that's right.
Because it's definitely in the 18th chapter.
Almighty Arjuna, according to Vandana, there are 5 causes from the accomplishment of all action. Now learn of these from me.
There you go. So 5 factors. So it's not just God is the only factor, that he's doing everything. No, he is, but there's 4 other factors, and he's going to make some arrangement, but considering other factors. So
who decide the timing?
What's that?
Who decide the timing? I remember that when I was in Liverpool, in Sydney, Rath Yatra was happening. Okay, I was not going. I can see only front of my shop they're going every year. Rath Yatra was happening, but I've got no interest whatsoever. I came to Newcastle as well, still no interest whatsoever. And then I came here when I was 48. Roman bring it there, $10 Indian food, $10 Indian food, Friday night. That's where I came. So it's like is that the timing was important. Like a lot of times, Rath Yatra come in front of me, and I went to the Falcon Street back in 98, 99. Used to go in there, but no action, no whatever. Just put it there, $1, $2, get the prasadam, get out. So it's like the time wasn't right. Now the time is right. Then I just come, or what is it? Like, why didn't I come before?
It's to do with your prior life.
My mom used to take me to Vrindavan.
I would say, the action of you, becoming attracted to Krishna consciousness at a certain point in time, is one of the determinants for that. What makes that happen is, like mentioned here, the performer, and that's you, the soul, is the performer. So usually in the beginning of the life, what are we trying to do? We're trying to enjoy the senses, sense gratification. At a certain point in life, you're trying to enjoy your senses, and you're very hopeful and you're very enthusiastic about enjoying sense gratification. But at a certain point in your life, and it usually happens to most of us sooner or later, what may happen?
We lost interest, enjoying the senses. It's, enough.
Okay, and what brings that about? How do you suddenly go from you're very enthusiastic about enjoying life to not being enthusiastic?
A wake-up call.
It might be some traumatic thing happen, like you lost your job, you lost your marriage, you're divorced, you're in a car accident, some very traumatic experience, and you're put into distress. All your finances are gone, or something like that, and suddenly you become very frustrated, like that. And that, so that's the right time, for God to enter into the equation. Until that point, while you were trying to enjoy sex, drugs, rock and roll, eat, drink, and be merry, God's nowhere to be seen.
Yeah.
But as soon as all your hopes for enjoyment in the material are cut down, they're broken down, and you went from being so proud, we call it puffed up in Hare Krishna jargon, to being humble, to becoming a bit humbled, then you're a bit receptive to Krishna consciousness and hearing from devotees and so forth. That's the right time for the Krishna factor, to make some arrangement. That then you go to the Rath Yatra, and then you get prasadam, and then you meet the devotee, and then you get the book, and so many things like that. And of course, we know there's 4 kinds of persons, pious persons that surrender to the Lord. So I think that's 7th chapter, text 16.
Yeah, they're inquisitive.
Yeah.
And those who are like, asking for money.
Yeah, 7:16, 7th chapter, text 16.
7:16.
Yeah. 4 kinds of pious persons. They begin to render devotional service. Who are they? The distressed. See?
Yeah, distressed.
This is probably the main category. Put up the reason, why you came to Krishna consciousness. Mostly it's distress, And there's some that are inquisitive. What are those people jumping up and down on the street for, wearing dresses, and they look so happy, and I want to be happy, and then they look really happy. I want to find out, maybe I'll join in their dancing, and maybe I'll become happy. So they're a bit inquisitive like that. So then they join in. And we often see that, when you're chanting on the street, some people may join in, they're inquisitive, and they ask, what are you doing? When I was distributing prasadam in Wellington, the people coming up to me saying, oh, what's the Hare Krishna all about? I see the Hare Krishnas, but I don't know what it's about. Can you, they're inquisitive like that. what's the Hare Krishna belief all about? Like that, so they're a bit inquisitive. And then some people searching for wealth. You know, a lot of people, if they're poor and looking for wealth, they'll approach God. Because God must be pretty wealthy, right? He must have a bit of money.
He can give anything.
So, you know, how many people go to churches talking about Christians, or the mosque talking about Muslims, or the mandir talking about Hindus, because they're looking for wealth? Probably the maximum percentage.
Yep.
You know, I know one guy went to in South India. There's a famous place, Tirupati, where Balaji Venkateshwara is there in South India, Tirumala, and he'd heard from a friend. You should go to Balaji, because I went there and gave a donation and my wealth just increased exponentially. You should go there and do the same thing. So he went there and, you know, he gave a donation, and sure enough, it came back to him like tenfold, you know, 20-fold, like that within 6 months. Like, so a lot of people do that. They go to God and give something with the expectation that God will reward them even more, you know. So that's one reason why people go to God. And then he is searching for knowledge of the absolute. So just a person looking for wisdom and the truth. So Krishna says in the next verse that that's the best of the four. Best of the four is the jnani, the one that's searching for knowledge, the one that's searching for the truth, one that's searching for God. So that's a very rare category. But yeah, there's four kinds. But you know, many people come in distress. So yeah, when you're trying to enjoy sense gratification, generally God doesn't interfere. But you know, when you're a bit frustrated, exhausted materially, then he does. I mean, I saw that in Wellington also, that a lot of these people in Wellington, why were they there? Because they're materially shattered. You know, they lost their jobs because of the mandates and they didn't want to take the vaccine. So they're doctors. A lot of them were doctors, they were teachers, and, you know, quite, you know, high up there people, well educated. They're not stupid people, high educated people and everything like that. And they lost their jobs. And because of that, they couldn't pay the mortgage. And basically the whole life is just in pieces. And that's why they were there. So, and most of those people, because of all that distress they'd been through, they're very humble, extremely humble, even though they were highly educated, PhD, MBA, BSc, you know, everything after their name. But they're very humbled by that, you know, suffering and distress. And they're all talking about God, and they, whenever they would get prasadam from us, they would say, Hare Krishna, thank you very much, Hare Krishna. They're so easily chanting Hare Krishna because they're in the right state of mind, and they're taking books, and they want to know the recipes, and they're going to start to come. We're doing cooking classes starting soon, so they're going to come to our cooking classes. And these are like doctors and teachers and psychologists and physiotherapists and, you know, like that. And they want to understand about spirituality and everything like that. And very extraordinary situation. And that's because, you know, that there's been a lot of distress people have been going through in the last couple of years, but that's actually very favorable for spiritual life, favorable for Krishna consciousness. And what we will see, and it's going to continue this distress, and what we will see is more and more people come to spiritual life, more and more people come to Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada predicted it. He said to his disciples 50 years ago, you will see in your lifetime, he said, there's not many people coming to our farms now, but you'll see in your lifetime there'll be thousands of people. Because he also predicted that there'll be greater and greater distresses in modern society, and modern society civilization will collapse, and through that happening, then so many people will come to spiritual life, come to Krishna.
He predicted that 50 years time, World War III.
Did he?
Yes.
I didn't hear that, but I mean, I heard that he said in 50 years that modern society will collapse. And we've seen that because that 50 years comes up next year.
Seven-
So,
Years?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, he
no.
said 1973. So that's 2023 is 50 years. So he was pretty spot on, I reckon. I reckon Prabhupada's
We'll find
pretty
out.
spot on there. But
Hmm.
there's a pretty powerful astrologer. He's been pretty good so far with many predictions. He reckons, I mean, there's wars going on all the time.
Oh yeah.
But in terms of a world war, he said it looks like 2030 there'll be a full-on world war. And he said the way the planets will be lined up at that 2030 is a similar alignment to guess when. A similar alignment to when the Battle of Kurukshetra happened. A similar alignment of the planets in 2030 to when 5,000 years ago, when all those soldiers from all over the world got together and killed each other in 18 days. So whether you want to see that as a good thing or as a bad thing, that you decide.
I think we all will be here.
2030 is not very
Yeah.
far away.
It's not very far. I mean, the clock is ticking. So guess why Prabhupada said that all devotees should go and live on farms and grow your own food? You know, because you want to be away from all the people that are going to be killing each other. And Prabhupada said in Kali Yuga, the demons will fight the demons and they'll kill each other like that. But you just want to make sure, where do you want to make sure you're not, Gulshan, when the demons are fighting the demons? Where do you want to not be? In
Not
the
with
middle.
the demons.
You don't want to be
One
like,
guess.
you don't want to be sandwiched in.
No,
You don't want to be the filling.
No, I will take Bhagavad Gita and give it both of them.
Yeah.
And if I die, I die. But I
So look what's happening in Ukraine, for example.
Yes.
You've got the Russian demons and the Ukraine demons, you know, fighting each other. And who's the filling? Who's in between?
You mean the Western world?
No, the
No.
public.
Love,
The public, the
Sorry?
citizens.
But
Innocent
actually,
people.
Ukraine is not.
The
Ukraine,
public, the citizens. Because it's, you know, they're dropping the bombs and everything, the rockets and everything for the machine guns in the cities. So it's all the poor people in the cities.
But you got to look at it. Even demons has got to steal the Krishna's energy.
You're being positive
Demon
here.
is above the- Still
Yeah. So what's your point? We know everything's Krishna's energy.
That's it. Whatever happening, just accept.
No, that's where you tell me in Bhagavad Gita, Gulshan, where it says that whatever happens, just accept it. You show me that verse. I'm
Krishna
very
said
interested.
that,
I never read it before.
when the Krishna says, "I'll say fight, you fight," isn't it, to Arjuna? So
Yeah.
it's pretty simple and clear. It's Krishna is the one decider. He's the cause of every cause.
Yeah.
You know, we nothing. Just watch and see that it's gonna be happen all the time. Next 50 years, it's gonna be happening. Happened for the last 50 years. Does not really matter. It just come and go. All I'm gonna do 16 round. That's it.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's what are you saying, Bob?
Abhay, along the lines of what you're talking about, because I did say to you some months ago that I can see there's going to be a real shift. And Claire's on a webinar with a psychologist or a psychiatrist for work. And he just quoted 62% of the workforce is burnt out.
Okay.
That's not talking about the population, it's just the workforce. That's
Yeah.
high.
Of Australia.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm not sure I'm sure they were talking about Australia.
Yeah.
Very interesting you say that, Bob, because that reminds me, connected with what Prabhupada said about you'll see in your life there'll be a time when thousands of people go to our farms. The interesting thing is that what was the reasoning behind him saying there'll be thousands of people going to the farms? I didn't know the reasoning behind it until recently. I read the whole conversation, and Prabhupada said that there will be massive unemployment. You know, people will be out of their jobs, whether it's because of what you're saying, you know, they're frustrated with their jobs or they lose their jobs, but one way or another, they are not having a job. And in that situation of being unemployed, they will leave the cities and go to the farms. So I hadn't realized that before. That was the reasoning behind why Prabhupada said there'll be a shift to the farms. But the reason what he was saying was that there'll be, you know, massive unemployment in the cities and people will be flocking in droves to the farms, you know. So he was wanting the devotees to be prepared, you know, to set up farms and grow a lot of food and have a lot of accommodation to prepare for that time when there'll be thousands of people wanting to join, wanting to come and live on our farms and practice Krishna consciousness because they don't have employment. I mean, I've got a cooking class, for example, on our little farm. I've got a cooking class here this weekend. And there's so many people that wanted to come, and we had to turn a lot of people away. And that's why we set up to do this traveling cooking classes, because we realized there's no way we can facilitate all these people that want to come here. So we go to them.
Have it online, Abhay. I have it online. Everything can be done online, you know.
I know that, but see, what's the fundamental thing of the whole process of Krishna consciousness? What's the most fundamental thing in the Krishna consciousness process?
Chanting prasadam, you're talking about?
To offer the food.
Definitely that's there. But what glues it all together? The prasadam.
It's the community, is it?
Close. Community is made up of
the association of devotees.
The association of devotees, yeah. So association, you know, association with devotees is so important. And of course you can get association through the internet, but it is more powerful if you do have that more closer physical contact. You know, we can hear each other now and see each other, but you know, if you're physically close and you're spending more time, I mean, we're only spending an hour or so, but I mean, you know, like I'll tell you what, like in Wellington, for example, because we were there and we were all together, they were all there and I was there and other devotees were there, that people were having prasadam 3 times every day, you know, and people were hearing the holy name up to 10 to 12 hours every day. See, when you have that physical association with devotees, then you can get more intense connection with Krishna consciousness. So that's very desirable. The more association we can have, the better. You know, that's why, like the Bhakti tree, right? We started off, we were only open for Friday night kirtan in the very beginning, when it was just Mahabhadra, my wife and I. And then it was just Friday night, kirtan and prasad, and then it was Wednesday night, yoga and prasadam. That was it, because we were going to university 3 days a week. So, but then when we got more help, Brett came along, you know, Gulshan came along, so many came along, and then we got Indian cooks coming in and everything like that. Then we opened up Thursday night yoga and like that, and then
movie night. Remember movie night? Movie night Thursday night.
Yeah, movie night, and then we opened 5 lunches, and then you know more nights, and Saturday night like that. So like that, you know, more. And that was the idea behind it: give people more association. So and that's how we can progress, you know, more better, like that. So that's the principle there.
We don't anymore have such strong devotee association as when you and Jayanti were here. Abhay, it's
But
big void.
Yeah, But if you have good association and then you lose it, what can happen also, which is very good, is that you feel separation from that association. And that is also very powerful. But you can't feel separation from something if you've never had it. So the first thing is to have good association. Then if you like Krishna, right, was in Vrindavan, then he left Vrindavan. So, you know, the gopis, they became so attached to Krishna, right? While he was in Vrindavan, his pastimes and so attractive, is so beautiful. There they gave their hearts to Krishna and everything. Then he said, see you later, I'm going, you know, and he never came back. So they felt so much separation, but that wasn't a bad thing. That accelerated their Krishna consciousness due to those feelings of separation. So, but that can only happen if you've had association and you become attached to that association, then you can feel separation. So you can still progress more, even if you don't have a lot of association, as long as you have had it at some point and become attracted to it, attached to it like that, and then you miss it. See, whatever you miss, whatever you feel separation from and you miss, then you think about it more. Do you get that point? Like, hey Gulshan, I don't have my 2 watches on this week, but if say I was very attached to this watch, I got a new watch. It's a what do you call it? It's got no battery. It's one of those. What do you call it when it's got no battery?
I think they used to call it an anchor block, didn't they?
A bangle.
The move.
Anyway, it's an automatic Seiko watch. So say I'm very attached to this automatic Seiko watch. If I lose it, then I'm going to be thinking about it all the time. Hey, Gianty, where's my watch? I can't find my watch. Gianty, look out for the watch. You know, you're always going to be thinking about it. Of course, if you don't care about your watch and you lose it, you're not going to think about it. But if you're attached to something and you lose it, then you think about it more. There was actually a devotee on the farm many years ago, Sasha, and he lost his mobile phone somewhere on the farm. And that's a bit difficult to find it because it's 500 acres. And but every day for about a week after that, he said, where's my phone? Where's my phone? Have you seen my phone? You know, so that's like Krishna consciousness. What were the gopis saying? Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? It's because they love Krishna and they miss him, you know, and they're always thinking about him. So, of course, if you think about your stupid watch or your phone, then you're going to be miserable if you think about that more, because it's just a material object. But if you think about a spiritual object like Krishna or Krishna's devotees like Prabhupada, if you think about them more, then you're going to be in bliss. Then you're going to be completely in bliss. Because what is the nature of Krishna and Krishna's devotees? I'll give you a clue. Three elements.
Chant and be happy.
No, that's there. But what is Krishna and Krishna's devotees constituted of? You know, like what's the body constituted of? 5 things: earth, water, fire, air, and space. So what is the soul constituted of? 3 things. There's not earth, water, fire, and space.
Eternal?
Yeah, it's eternal. That's one.
Bliss. Full of bliss.
Bliss, full of bliss and full of knowledge. So if that's what you're thinking about, Krishna's made of that, and Krishna's devotees is made of that, then, and that's what you're thinking about, then you're going to become that yourself. You're going to become blissful. You will become eternal. I mean, you are eternal already, but you'll get back your eternality because that's what you're thinking about. That's the main thing is, you know, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, right? ISKCON. So what's a society of people that are thinking about Krishna? But we would include within that, because within the definition of Krishna, because Krishna doesn't just mean Krishna. Krishna means Krishna, the person, and all of his associates. Within the definition of when you say Krishna, you're actually including in the word Krishna all of his associates, his flute, his clothes, all of his jewelry, his flower garland, all of his paraphernalia, where he lives, the spiritual world. It's a big all-inclusive thing when you're talking about Krishna. So that's what it means, you know. So to be Krishna conscious also means to be conscious, to be thinking about the spiritual world, to be thinking about Krishna's devotees, like that. Another point Prabhupada made was that Krishna is never alone. Krishna is always surrounded by loving devotees. So when you're talking about Krishna, it's not just Krishna by himself, it's Krishna plus his devotees, you know, with the devotees. So you'll always see, you know, a picture of Mother Yashoda and Krishna, or the cows in Krishna, the peacocks in Krishna, you know, Arjuna and Krishna. Prabhupada said if you see a picture of Krishna by himself, that's not bona fide. It's not bona fide, because Krishna is never alone. That's not a proper picture. Krishna is always with his devotees. He's surrounded by the cowherd girls or the cowherd boys, or all the you know, the animals and birds and everything like that. So yeah, if you're thinking about devotees, you're missing them, or Krishna like that, if you develop attraction and then you feel separation, that can be a good thing. But for people that have never developed attraction to devotee association, it's sad for them. They have no chance, you know, they have no hope. You know, so like I've said many times, you know, devotees need to get out more and give association to people, and that's what will help people, you know. So like now we're planning to go on at least a 3-month trip to go all around New Zealand and spend time with people. And of course, we are nothing great ourselves at all. We're just rotten souls. But it's what we're carrying with us that's important. Like we'll be distributing Krishna's prasadam. We'll be distributing Prabhupada's books. We'll be taking japa beads with us, japa malas, and teaching people how to chant japa. We'll be, you know, talking about Krishna and all these kind of things. So this is what, you know, is going to help people, you know, awaken to Krishna consciousness. So yeah. And then deeper what you're saying about, oh, you don't have very good association or whatever like that. But then when people would say that to Prabhupada, then he turned it around. He turned it around on the people and said, well, you have to make your association. You have to generate it. If you feel there's not any good association for you, then you have to go out and make it by your preaching, by your reaching out, you know, outreach, by reaching out, and you have to make it. Like where we moved to up in Northland here, you could say there's no association for us. What are we going to do without association? But then we go out and mix with people, meet with people, and we create nice association, you know, where they start to chant Hare Krishna. They you know, they like to chant Hare Krishna with us, and they like to take prasadam with us, and they like to talk about Krishna. So we have to make that. It wasn't there before, but that's our job. That's our job, is to make that happen. That's what it means to be a devotee. You have to spread Krishna consciousness and help people awaken to Krishna, and then you'll enjoy associating with them. So I've got no one to enjoy associating with. Everyone's all karmis and everything around me, materialistic people. Yeah, but well, that's your job, is to make them devotees. Of course, we know it's not easy, but still, that's what we have to try to do. And like Gulshan saying, you know, Krishna's doing it. Krishna will help. But, you know, you have to make an effort, and then Krishna will help. Krishna will inspire them in their hearts. You know, Gulshan was saying about, you know, when Krishna arranges it and everything like that. But, you know, Krishna makes the arrangement after the devotee desires. Like my spiritual master wrote to me that after Prabhupada first met him in Boston University, Prabhupada wrote a letter to him and said, when I first met you, I prayed to Krishna, may this good soul appreciate the value of Krishna consciousness.
Wow.
And then he said, and then I did. So why did my spiritual master come to Krishna consciousness? You could say it was Krishna's arrangement. It was the time that Krishna chose. But yeah, go a bit deeper. And maybe it wasn't just Krishna. Maybe it was also because Prabhupada prayed to Krishna. May this good soul appreciate the value of Krishna consciousness. And then my guru's writing to me this, right? And then he said, similarly, when I met you, meaning me, I prayed to Krishna, meaning my spiritual master. May this good soul appreciate the value of Krishna consciousness. And this Dumbo did, not just because Krishna wanted me to at that time, but because a devotee desired, and I'm reading this book now. My spiritual master wrote about Juhu Temple, and let there be a temple, and the Juhu story. So one of the points there is that Prabhupada desired that there be a temple on this land for Radha Rasa Bihari, the deities, and then it became. But it's, how did it start? But just because Krishna wanted there to be a temple there? No. Prabhupada wanted there to be a temple for Krishna. And then Krishna arranged it. But Krishna arranged it after Prabhupada wanted it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, devotee's desire.
And there's that old saying, right? We would all know, man proposes, God disposes. You would have been brought up with that, right, Bob? Man proposes, God disposes.
I like it, yeah.
Yeah, it's true. We agree. It's a sort of Christian kind of saying, but we agree with that. The soul desires, and then if the soul has enough good karma or punya, or if it's what God wants, then he'll dispose it. It means he'll make it happen. So that's how it works. It's not that we're not in the equation. No, every one of us is a very important part of the equation, and we're in the equation first. And definitely, without God's part in the equation, nothing happens. There's no doubt about it. Without God's part in the equation, nothing can happen. I can't scratch my head. If God doesn't, allow it to happen. But the point is, I desired to scratch my head. It's not, did God desire to scratch this head? And what's God's interest in scratching this head? Nothing. But, he's playing his flute in the spiritual world. But I desired to scratch my head. But then he has to allow me to scratch the head. Then it happens. So we are a very important part of the equation. And God is the ultimate part of the equation, and definitely like that. So those are some different points to consider there. Yeah, so we've discussed quite a few things and gone around here and there, but they're all very interesting things. So let's go back, though, to where we are. It started off talking about, if we go back to 637, so we were talking about last week how Krishna's saying that is my opinion. So we were talking about how he's a person and all that, and then we've talked about so many things after that. But yeah, let's recite the verse today. It's very nice to hear some Sanskrit. So chapter 6, text 37. Arjuna Uvacha
Arjuna Vacha
Ayati Shraddhayo Peto
Ayati Shraddhayo Peto
Yoga Chalita Manasa
Yoga Chalita Manasa
Aprapya Yoga Samsiddhim
Aprapya Yoga Sansiddhim
Tam Gatim Krishna Gacchati.
Tam Gatim Krishna Gacchati.
Now it's Arjuna speaking. We've been hearing Krishna speaking. Now it's changed over to Arjuna speaking. Now he's going to present a doubt here, a very interesting doubt.
Without his doubt, the Gita won't be completed. He won't. If you don't have a doubt, we won't be having the Krishna consciousness.
Krishna, we no need of Krishna saying anything.
That's right.
Yeah. It's the same, like in a relationship between the guru and the disciple. Very important part of that relationship is that the disciple is inquisitive to learn the truth and asks questions. If there's no questions, or if the disciple is not inquisitive to understand the truth, not wanting to get out of confusion, because that's the state we're all coming from, of course, is because we're ignorant, we're all confused. We're all confused. And that Arjuna states that in the second chapter of text 7, that he's confused. What's Arjuna's confusion? That he has to fight people that he loves, and potentially kill them. So that's his confusion. Should he fight? Because he knows that fighting is his duty. So that duty, what does duty mean? Something you have to do. It's like unavoidable.
Yes.
Like for a mother to look after the children, that's the duty. It's not, I feel like looking after children, or I don't feel like looking after children. It's not about what you feel like. It's your duty. You have to do it, isn't it? Or like in Indian culture, right? It's your duty to look after your parents. I feel like looking after my parents, or I don't feel like looking after my parents. It doesn't matter what you feel like, mate. You have to do it. That's your job. That's your duty, like if you're a firefighter, right? I don't feel like fighting till the alarm goes off, right? I don't feel like fighting. No, that's your duty, mate. You have to do it. Get out there, put your bloody helmet on and go down the pole.
Yeah, but
jump in the truck.
But the thing is, husband and wife duty. Wife duty is to be fight with the husband. It's not a duty. It just must fight every day.
No, that's Kali Yuga. Then that's not duty. Actually, if you want to talk about getting serious, in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it talks about the duties of the husband and wife. There are 4 duties of a wife. Shall we ask Deepa what they are? So anyway,
my husband will probably say I'm not doing any of it. I don't know.
The husband says that don't worry about that duties because I'm Muslim.
Oh no.
No, these are all universal principles. It's got nothing to do about. They're just coming from God. So they're often be found in all the religions. So to have one is to have a favorable attitude, to always have a favorable attitude to the
Each other.
Now hang on, I'm just trying to make sure I get it right. And I mean it's the wife's duty, so I don't think about it too much, but because I have my own ones. But to always serve the I think I'm going to get 3 of them. I might not remember the 4th one. To have a favorable attitude to the husband, and then to have a favorable attitude. Number 2, to have a favorable attitude to all the friends and relatives of the husband. So that's interesting. So not only you have to be favorable to the husband, but whoever's a friend to the husband, you have to see them as your friend too. Even if they're your enemy, they might be your enemy, but if they're my husband's friend, then they're my friend. And that goes the other way too. If they're my husband's enemy, even though they're my friend, but if they're my husband's enemy, then they're my enemy. So that's interesting, isn't it?
I'm a Ben's friend, Deepa.
Good thing most of his friends are my friends first before him.
Oh yeah, that's true. But I know Ben from Tunisia. I know you. Yeah, we used to play soccer together.
Oh yeah, no, I've forgotten the third and fourth one. But anyway, there's different. The point is there's different duties there, you know, and the husband's duty is always to provide for his wife, and you know and to make her feel safe and protected, you know, so to protect the wife, keep her safe and protected, and to fulfill all the desires of the wife, which is not easy. Like if she desires a house, he has to provide that. If it desires to have children, the wife naturally desires to have children, so he has to provide children. And if she desires to have, which they normally do, want nice dresses or saris and nice jewelries and ornaments and whatever, he has to provide that. So that all means he has to work, you know, to provide, you know,
He has to work like a donkey
to
provide all that.
Like that.
No. He picked me. His friends all told him, very good choice because she doesn't want anything.
But
You
then
know,
he realized after that when the true color comes, I want this, I want this.
No.
yeah, so the point is that, you know, everyone has a duty to perform. So that was Arjuna was confused about that. It was very difficult for him at that point to do his duty because the people he had to fight was people he loved in that. So the point is that we all may get confused. At that point, when we're confused, what should we do? At the point in life when we can't figure out where do I go from here? I'm like, what do you call it, at a crossroads, and you're like stuck, you know. Do I go left or right or straight or backwards or whatever? You're all right by yourself, you know, up to a certain point. But everyone will come to that point in their life sooner or later when they can't figure out what to do. They get confused. At that point of confusion, what should we do?
The spiritual master.
That's when we need a spiritual master. And people say, when should I get a spiritual master, or why should I get a spiritual master? That is the point, you know, unless and until you feel you've reached that point that, you know, I can't figure it out what to do. You know, I'm stuck, you know, I'm so confused. I need help. So that's the natural point that you approach a spiritual master when you realize I can't do it.
It's really good point. The good turn in your life if it happens.
Yeah.
You realize you need the spiritual master.
Yeah.
It's a good thing will be happen. Yes.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, they reach a crossroads and they go and ask their friends, and then they go and do some more crazy things, you know.
Yeah. So that's very unfortunate. But there's good potential at that point, and usually at that point that we're confused, like I mentioned, we are very humble because there will be some suffering there at that point. In confusion, there's obviously some suffering in our life when we can't figure out how to get free from the suffering condition. So we're a bit humble. So that there is an opportunity at that point. It's like a window there, an opening. That if we're fortunate, then if we meet a spiritual master at that point where we are humble and confused, then we can get some good guidance there. So here Arjuna also is very confused and he's got many questions. So this is one of his questions. So Bob, do you want to read the question there? Arjuna said.
Krishna, what is the destination of the unsuccessful transcendentalist who in the beginning takes to the process of self-realization with faith, but who later desists due to worldly mindfulness and thus does not attain perfection of mysticism?
This is a very interesting question and very relevant. I mean, Arjuna asked it 5,000 years ago, but it's equally relevant now. So what's the relevance for us now is that, okay, say, you know, I'm a materialistic person. And then I take to spiritual life, self-realization, trying to be a transcendentalist. And but what happens if along the road of self-realization I get diverted, deviated due to whatever reason, like it's mentioned here, worldly mindedness. So, which can easily happen, that we fall off the path, and we're not. So we left materialistic life and we tried for spiritual life, but we didn't become successful in spiritual life, but we've left the material life. So then where are we?
Limbo.
So, in limbo, so that can be a fear for us now today, that what if I don't make it back to Godhead, isn't it? What if I'm trying to be a Hare Krishna and everything like that, trying to be a devotee and everything, but I'm not doing a very good job or whatever, and I have so many difficulties and I get diverted by this and that and like that and swayed around, and what if I don't make it back to Godhead? And we may become a bit fearful, we may doubt, what is our future and everything like that. And so that's a very relevant concern, isn't it?
Very much.
Yeah. So this is an all-time question with an all-time answer. So yeah, we've still got a few minutes here, so let's read the purport deeper.
Oh, I'm sorry, I've been listening, but I don't have my book with me.
Oh, you don't have it? That's okay. No problem. That's
Unrated.
okay. Keep listening. No, hearing is good.
Yeah.
The
So
path
maybe
of self-realization or mysticism is described in the Bhagavad Gita. The basic principle of self-realization is knowledge that the living entity is not this material body, but he is different from it, and that his happiness is in eternal life. Bliss and the knowledge, these are transcendentals. Beyond both body and mind, self-realization is sought by a path of knowledge, by the practice of eightfold system or by bhakti yoga. In each of these processes, one has to realize the constitutional position of living entity, his relationship with the God, and the activities whereby he can re-establish the lost link and achieve the highest perfection stage of Krishna consciousness. Following any of the above mentioned three methods, one is sure to reach the supreme goal sooner or later. This was asserted by a Lord in the second chapter. Even a little endeavor on that transcendental path offers a great hope for deliverance. Out of these three methods of path, Bhakti Yoga is especially suitable for this age because it is the most direct method of God realization. To be doubly assured, Arjuna is asking Lord Krishna to confirm his former statement. One may sincerely accept the path of self-realization, but the process of cultivation of knowledge and the practice of eightfold yoga system are generally very difficult for this age. Therefore, despite constant endeavor, one may fail for many reasons. First of all, one may not be sufficiently serious about following the process. To pursue the transcendental path is more or less to declare war on the illusory energy.
say that one again, Gulshan. That's an important one. Say that at least twice.
The pursuit the transcendental path is more or less to declare war on illusionary energy. Consequently, whenever a person tries to escape the clutches of the illusionary energy, she tries to defeat the practitioner by various allurement. A conditioned soul is already allured by mode of material energy, and there is every chance of being allured again, even while performing transcendental disciplines. This is called yoga kleta manasha. Deviations from transcendental path. Arjuna is inquisitive to know the result of deviation from path of self-realization.
Mm. Mm.
Yogic and Kulitam.
That's very powerful. You know, the soul, the soul coming up against the Maya, the illusory energy of the Lord, is like Gulshan taking on China, the whole Chinese army by himself, you know, so it's like unlimitedly more powerful than us. So that's not very hopeful. But the good news is that although the material energy is unlimitedly more powerful than us, then Krishna is unlimitedly more powerful than Maya, because Maya is one of his energies. So Maya is under his control. So therefore, the solution is, if we come under the shelter of Krishna by surrendering to Krishna, then we get protected from Maya, and then we can overcome Maya. However, if we don't surrender to Krishna and we don't take shelter of Krishna, then we have no chance, absolutely no chance of getting out of the Maya, out of the illusion. But anyway, in the beginning of the purport, Prabhupada explains, because it talks about taking to self-realization. So Prabhupada makes a point, there are three paths to self-realization. What are the three paths? Does anyone remember one of them or more? What are the three paths of self-realization that we can
False
take?
ego?
No. Three processes or paths we may take to help us achieve self-realization or the spiritual understanding, self-realization.
One is the most powerful, the one I know is the Bhakti Yoga.
Yeah, so Bhakti Yoga, so that's what we're following, Bhakti Yoga, which is devotional service, serving the Lord in 9 different ways. So what are the other two paths? One is this chapter title, is Astanga Yoga. So this Astanga Yoga system, 8-fold yoga practice, you know, asana, yama niyama, asana pranayama, like that, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi, like that. So there's 8-fold processes, which Arjuna has just said in the previous few verses when Krishna's been explaining this process of Astanga Yoga. Arjuna said, I can't do it. That, you know, to follow this process, I can't do it. You know, to control the mind is more hard than the wind. So Arjuna's just expressed the doubt that he doesn't think he can follow this process. But there's another process too, and that's the process of jnana, which is philosophical knowledge or speculation. So that's another group of transcendentalists. They're the jnanis. So they're the ones that are, you know, always, you know, studying the books and trying to understand things from their own brain, from their own mind. They're trying to understand God from their own limited mind and senses. So they're always, you know, talking with each other. I think this and I believe this and maybe and all this kind of stuff. So the sort of modern scientists also sort of fit in that category. They're trying to understand the universe and everything just from the limits of their own imperfect senses and mind. And, you know, and the Mayavadis fit in this category. They normally come to the conclusion that that everything is God. That through our philosophical speculation, that's normally the conclusion everyone that they come to, is that we're all God and that God is just energy, impersonal. That and then when Krishna comes to this world, or Krishna's devotees, they are also Maya. That everything in this world is Maya. They say, one of their sayings is Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. Brahma means spiritual. So the spiritual realm is Satya, means the truth. And Jagan means this material realm, material world, is Mithya, means false. So one of their sayings is that the spiritual energy, that is truth, that is real, and that everything in this material world is all temporary, it's all false. But that's a big mistake for them to speculate that just because Krishna comes to this material world, that he is also Maya, and Maya like us.
Abhay, I've got a question. I have a question. If we've got time.
Yes.
Just bear with me. Where it says, it talks about mysticism, and often you hear of people being, they call themselves a mystic.
Yes.
What, can you clear that up for me?
Yes, sure. Yeah, so this one word gets used in different ways. So I'll tell you the way that it's the definition for how it's used here is in mysticism, meaning perfection. You could say replace that word perfection in spiritual life.
What was the first bit? Sorry.
Yeah, like, and this sentence ends out perfection and mysticism in this verse that you read.
Yeah.
Perfection and mysticism, right?
It says the path of self-realization or mysticism.
Yeah.
Right at the beginning of the purport.
Okay. Yeah. But so the content, how you could replace that word mysticism with spiritual life.
Okay.
So why is the word mysticism used? Because mystic means it's not tangible. You can't see it.
Right.
Like the word mystical. Like the word mystical, right? Mystical.
Like yogis got a mystic power. You have got a power, but you can't see them.
In that case, mystic power in the sense that you can't understand how he's doing it. It's mystical.
Okay.
You can't.
So
like
can I just...
you can't see it or you can't understand it.
Okay.
It means it's very subtle. So it's a very subtle process.
Unexplainable.
Subtle means you can't see it. You can't like we say the subtle body, right? The subtle body. So mind, intelligence, false ego. You can't see the mind. You can't touch it. You can't taste it. You can't see the intelligence. You can't, like that. The false ego. You can't see it. The soul. You can't see it. It's all very subtle. It's very mystical, like that. So that's what it's meaning in the proper meaning. It's very subtle. It's very difficult to understand. You can't understand it through the senses and the mind. It's beyond the senses and the mind, in that sense. But you could replace that word mysticism here in terms of in spiritual life. So perfection in spiritual life, success in spiritual life. But okay, so now talking about how it's normally used. A mystic. So like someone that has some psychic powers, but that's just on the mental platform. So that is more subtle, but it's not spiritual. So some people think that the mind is also spiritual, but no, it's not. Still within the material realm, still within the material world. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's spiritual. Like some people talk about ghosts, but they talk about them like they're spirits, or like some spiritual entities. But no, a ghost is not any more a spiritual entity than what we are. That the soul is still covered over by the subtle body, made of mind, intelligence, and ego. And they're normally very frustrated living entities. They're certainly not perfected spiritual beings. So we would never call, you know, someone that deals with ghosts and spirits and stuff as a perfect mystic. We would never compare them. They're not necessarily spiritually advanced at all. So just because someone has some psychic power